Good morning. I'm going to try something a little bit different this week. I'm going to do a little bit of vlogging instead of just a normal podcast. So today is, what is today? Monday morning, April 24, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I slept and slept and slept last night. So my eyes are watery. I look like a hot mess, but I'm here. I'm alive. It's a new day. I'm blessed. So, time to get some coffee and then see what I'm going to do for today. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Alicia and this is the APLCrafts podcast. So welcome. All right. The craft room, where the magic happens. Hi, Plumpy. Hi. Okay. Time for some work. Put that there. This is where I sit all day. I've got a window behind me, so there's a lot of shadow. But yeah, this is where I sit all day with my dual monitors, watching podcasts, or researching something and knitting. Although I have to say, this past month, I haven't done a whole lot of knitting. I had a whole lot of stuff going on, and some of my health stuff was coming back. And I know I brought that up once or twice. Not anything major that most people would see anyway. But yeah, so I haven't really done much since my last podcast. I did finish my shawl, and I'll show that a little bit later. And I'm still working on my streamline tank. I finished the square. I need to block it. I'm looking at my area over here. Oh, and I started a new shawl, Slip Stitch Party by Isabel Kramer. So that's what I've been working on, so I'll show a little bit of that later too. Yeah, health stuff is just, I'm wondering if maybe any of you know somebody who's had this happen to them. So, when was that? Beginning of February. All of a sudden, like quite literally overnight, I could no longer process wheat. And so that's been fun because it was quite painful until I figured out what was causing all of my bloating and pain issues, and you know, everything's just sitting up high and just hurts and you want to cry and just lay down into a ball. And so I learned quickly after that it was probably wheat, which, being a vegetarian, half of your protein is from vital wheat gluten, which is the protein strands that are in wheat or in flour. So yeah, that was, and I'm not going to go back to eating meat, so it's been fun trying to figure that out. And then in the process of that, there is a thing called leaky gut syndrome, which is not technically on the medical books, but it's something that's been floating around. So I've noticed that I've been still having pain sometimes, even though I've taken the wheat out of my diet, and come to find out that some of that could be from sugar and from alcohol. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna stop drinking my wine. I don't really have a sweet tooth, so it's like, okay, well, it's not every day. It's usually just when I have highly processed sugar. Like, it wouldn't be chocolate. I'm looking at my desk. Gummies, things like that. Not those kind of gummies. I have like these peach flavored sugar coated gummies. Anyway, and I'm a sucker for those. And I noticed I would have pain with that. So I'm trying to figure that stuff out. And then also learned that I need to put in probiotics in my diet. So I'm trying to figure that out. And none of that really should affect my knitting, but it has, and I kind of lost some of my knitting mojo in the process between that and then, like, it's springtime and I got work to do outside and garden work to do. So yeah, anyway, so that's what's been going on with that. So So I'm gonna drink my coffee, figure out my stuff. I already did my dishes. I do dishes in the morning. I like to do them by hand. I do have a dishwasher. I just like doing them by hand. And then I gotta clean out the litter boxes. And yeah, we're gonna start my day. Okay, bye. Okay, morning chores are done. And let me get that out of the sun a little bit for you. Okay, morning chores are done. I still look like a hot mess, but that's because I don't bother trying to look decent unless I have to go somewhere. So this is what we get. So my agenda for today, I'm going to make some gluten-free buns so I can have sandwiches or burgers. And so I'll take you along for that, just for some of it. And I'll put a recipe down below in case you are now suddenly gluten-free like myself, or you've already have been gluten-free and you're just looking for another recipe. I used to be a baker in my former life, and I didn't do a lot of gluten-free baking. Cat fur on my face. I didn't do a lot of gluten-free baking, but I did have some experience, so I'm just kind of going from there. And what else do I have to do today? If the weather's nice later on tonight, this evening before the sun goes down, I might plant my strawberries. And I might cook. I don't know. We'll see. And then I'll do some knitting. So my gluten-free recipe is 3.5 cups of gluten-free flour. That's a mix. Almost 2 tablespoon and a half teaspoon of yeast, which I already have. Sorry, I just worked out in my throat, all the yeast is in here. And then throw in an egg. And inside there, which I already mixed, is about, oh my God, not even a quarter cup of sugar, maybe like 1/8 of a cup of sugar. What would that be? 2 tablespoons maybe? 2 tablespoons of sugar, and half teaspoon to 3/4 teaspoon of salt. I have noticed that you need more salt with gluten-free than you do with floured bread, but that's to taste, so do what you want with that. So yep, here we go. You may need to add more water for the right consistency, as this will change with the environment of your home. Okay, so you want your batter, gluten-free bread dough batter, or whatever you want to call it, to look like this. You can go a little bit more liquidy. I wouldn't go much more liquidy than that though, but this will give you a good bread. But today I'm making English muffin bun type stuff that I'm actually just going to cook on the stovetop in my cast iron. So I'm going to put some plastic wrap over this and then let it sit. It will rise, but it won't rise like flour. So I think I've done my math wrong with this particular yarn that I'm using for these squares. This is the last one that I blocked, and I'm only getting 13 by 13. They need to be 14 by 14, which means I'm off by like 4 stitches. And because of the yarn that I'm using for these squares, sometimes I have to take away stitches that are in the pattern because the yarn's a little bit thicker, or if it's a little bit thinner, I gotta add stitches somewhere. And so usually what I do, and I mentioned this in a past video, that usually by the time I get like somewhere around here, I can stretch it out on the cable needle and I'll know approximately how far or how long the inches are. And I was getting 14, but when I keep blocking them, this one and then the one that I just showed you, I'm only getting 13. So that's not going to work. Because if I'm aggressively blocking it and I'm not getting the size, I'm definitely off by a few stitches. So I'm going to have to rip this out. And when that one dries, I'll have to rip that one out. And I'm going to redo these. Luckily, if I spend, excuse me, if I spend a few days with this, so like if I spend most of a couple of days, then I can get a square done. So I don't have to exclusively be working on it, but it only takes me like 2 days really to do one of these. So another example of having added too many stitches. So this is one that I did a while back, and it's like 16. Like the length, the height is fine, but the length is way off because I added stitches here, and I added them in the middle, and I added them here, and it ended up being too long. So I'm gonna rip this one out too, and I'll probably, even though I've redone this particular block and got the size, there's some squares in that pattern. The pattern I'm talking about, by the way, is what's it called? I'll put it down here, but it's like an Afghan by Norah, Gaughn, and it's a free pattern. Anyway, some of the squares I just really don't want to do because they're just, it's too complicated for the type of knitting that I want to do, just to knock out scrap. So I think I'm going to redo this one. I'm going to rip out the yarn for this one and reknit this. I'm going to count how many stitches I have on there and then just subtract in the end pieces and in the middle so that I can get the size that I need. So I'll probably subtract, I don't know, 6 stitches. That'll make it even 2, 2, and 2. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I'll do that. And I guess that's what I'm going to do today. Might as well. Yeah, and I'm going to rip this back and then add 4 stitches, and that should give me what I need for that extra inch. And then do the same thing to that square when it's dry. So I guess this whole week I'm going to be doing squares. But I'm almost done. I've got a whole pile. Let me show you. I'm not going to go over every single square because we've already been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But this is how many I have so far that are all blocked size. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 20. And 20 should give me 6 by 7, 5 by 6 foot. So it'll be a decent size. And then of course you can always add or take away. But that's what I have so far. So then after I do these 3, that will make it 10. And then I'll be halfway through. And I have enough yarn to do 1 more square. And that's it. I'm not going to go out and buy yarn to do this pattern. So I do have some farm yarn. I like to call it farm yarn. All my rustics over here. And that's what this blanket is made out of, is this type of yarn. So worsted weight or like a light worsted, which is why I'm getting that variance. So yeah, I guess I'll be doing that this week. And I haven't gotten very far with my pink granny squares. Let me throw this over there so I know to work on it. I haven't gotten very far in my pink granny squares. Pretty much what you saw in the short a few videos back is I haven't really got much more done than that. Maybe a few more squares just going up one way. I haven't done it the other way yet. Like I said, I've kind of lost my mojo. Trying to get it back by doing like small things here and there, so I'm not completely going whole days without knitting. But you know, I'm a housewife, so once I get my chores done, and you know, this, that, and the other, and I'm running after I'm done with all the errands and stuff, I have time to knit. So it's not that I'm a fast knitter, I just have more time than some people, and I understand that's a privilege. Let's get that out of the way. So yeah, but it's like I'm just focusing on other things right now. So finished makeover here. So this is what tomorrow brings Shawl. Let me lower this so you can see it. And the color is definitely not accurate, and I don't know if I can fix that. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, that's the best that I can do. So here it is in all its glory. Oh, let me lower it just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah, It's huge, huge. Like, I'm talking, oh my God, it's like 100 inches or something across. My wingspan is 64, and it goes way, way past, like, but it's gorgeous. Yeah. I'm in love with this thing, and I love the fact, like I said before, that it's basically 3 shawls in one, if you wanted. So this was an interesting construction. It starts up here. This is the first part, and then this is the second part here, and then your third part, you're picking up stitches and going down one way, and then going down the other way, and then you get this, which is very interesting, I think. And then the yarn is just a mixture of Malabrigo sock and my own yarn, and I've gone over that plenty of times, so I'll probably put an iCard up here so you can see that video. Oh, speaking of that video, oh, YouTube. Oh, how we have such a love-hate relationship with you. So, let me move this out the way. I did a podcast 2 weeks ago, beginning of April, somewhere around there. And at the end, I added footage of some hiking that I did at Rock Island State Park. And I put music to it. It's just 3 minutes long. I don't even think the music was for a whole 3 minutes. And I used free music with permission that it can go on YouTube. You know, that's the type of editor that I have. YouTube flags it for copyright. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of expected that, because for some reason, unless you use the music that YouTube provides you, you're almost always going to get a copyright strike. It doesn't matter if you have permission to use it or not. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. And I'm noticing, since I've picked up my podcasting again, that the numbers of views went way down. And I was like, okay, well, if you're telling me it's a copyright strike, but you're noting that I have permission to use this music, and you're saying that it's not going to affect my video, why are you shadow banning me? Because clearly you're shadow banning me, because if I'm used to, at this point, getting 50 views, like somewhere between 45 to 60, I should say. So 50 is the average views per video, and now I'm getting like 15, and it's been a week. That's a shadow ban, y'all. So then what I did was I separated my videos out. So I took the hiking video and left it, I edited it in the YouTube studio, left it on that one that's already got the copyright strike, because music's already on there anyway. Took the first part of the episode and re-uploaded it on its own. I don't know if the shadow ban followed me or not. It didn't get a whole lot of views. Anyway, so if you were wondering why I don't have, if you think that I didn't have a video for beginning of April, I do. It's there. For some reason, you probably just never came across it, because YouTube. So, yeah, so that's there. So if you want to see some views of Rock Island State Park, that's there. There's some waterfalls in there, and a man-made beach, which apparently we have here in Tennessee. And then my podcast where I talk about the shawl and some other stuff that I don't remember right now off the top of my head. And yeah, so, and then at that point, after that, you know, all the stuff happened this month and blah blah blah, and now I'm just gonna do some vlogging, because I feel like I have enough energy in spurts to do this, to talk about knitting and this, that, and the other, but I don't have the energy to do a let's stop everything for, you know, 40 minutes and then edit all that content and whatever. And it's weird, because like with vlogging, you're actually probably doing more editing, but that part doesn't bother me. It's the whole stopping what I'm having to do to talk about all the things. Plus it changes it up a little bit, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, 16 extra stitches. I'll have to refilm that. I had music in the background. Don't need no copyright strike. I'm watching you, YouTube. Anyway, so I have 16 extra stitches on here. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of turning this to a big ball, is work from this and then do the rest from here. So basically, because it's longer than it is wide, if I do my math right, which if I did it right, I wouldn't be in this predicament to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. So if I do my math right, then it should be the same amount of yarn. I'm just changing the dimensions. That's my goal anyway. So, yeah. We'll see how that goes. So this is what your batter dough should look like. And I've got my cast iron heating up. It's almost ready. And I'm going to do a test one. You can put cornmeal in here if you want. And usually English muffin recipes will have that. Since this is kind of a hybrid English muffin bun thing and it's not going in the oven, I'm not doing that, but let's see how this goes. Oh yeah, it sounds ready. So I'm going to put a couple of these in here and cook it about 2 minutes on each side. Maybe a little bit longer. I don't know, I'm used to doing this with flour. I've only done this once with gluten-free, and that was because I had put too much water in my bread dough, so I just kind of baked it off just to scrape out the bread pan. So this is for realsies, so we'll see how that goes. And right now I've got my cast iron on medium high, and I'll probably turn that down as we go because medium high for too long would be too hot. So you can probably already tell that these are thin, and that's pretty much what I'm going for. I do not like thick buns. Insert joke here. But yeah, so my hope, I gotta turn this down big time, is to cut them in half, and then usually when I make sandwiches, they're hot sandwiches anyway, and I like to toast the buns, so the insides are going to be soft, and then I'm just going to heat them up and, you know, whatever. So I just need to get the inside par baked enough, if you will, or cooked enough that it's stable. And I do not have grease in here. You can put grease in here if you want. I don't. But I might change my mind down the road after a few of these, see how they turn out. But so far, I don't think I need it. So that's what the inside looks like. Oh, there you go. If you like thin bread, that'll work for you. So I'm going to finish these up, and then we'll go back to some knitting. So there was in fact not any more knitting tonight. It is 10 o'clock in the evening, and shortly before the end of all the baking or cooking for the English muffins, we had a pet emergency. So I had to rush one of my cats to the vet, and long story short, he's a stray cat that has been around the neighborhood for like a year, and we brought him in about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, because he had this paw that was looking pretty bad, could have been infected. So we brought him in, got him fixed, got his shots, all that stuff, trying to keep him in the house, and we're going to take him in. And so we found out a long time ago, at the beginning of all this, that he has FIV, which normally isn't a problem. So we weren't worried about it. But whatever he's got going on, they say could be related to the FIV. So basically, like, his platelets are down, his white blood cell count is down, his red blood cell count is down, his hemocritic is down. So he's on like some serious meds right now to see if we can get his blood cell counts to go back up. And if we can't, yeah. Pray for him, wish him luck. He's a sweet boy. I live in an area where kitties get dumped all the time. Sometimes we get some dogs too, and I don't have anything kind to say about the people who dumped him. So, yeah. So, wish us luck. Alright, talk to you later. So, it's the next day. Yeah, we're in the same clothes. Oh well, that happens. A little update. So, we started the aggressive meds on the cat that we had the pet emergency with. Yesterday, he got a second dose this morning, and he's looking better, way better than yesterday. He's going to get blood work done tomorrow morning to see how he's doing. It's an interesting position to be in, giving meds to a cat that you don't know officially whether or not they're going to, go. So yeah, it's just a very weird space to be in. So we're checking on him like every couple of hours. I think really what happened was, because we've only had him for 2 months, like I said, we picked him up off the street. Because I'm in a dumping area, and he was a neighborhood stray for a while. I think what happened, because when we found out he had FIV, which is essentially like kitty HIV, as long as they're not passing blood through like bites or anything like that, the other cats aren't going to get anything. So we weren't worried about that. But I think what happened with him was, between getting fixed and then getting integrated, his immune system just took a hit. That's our guess anyway. And so what we did was we separated him, put him in the garage so he's got his own space, he can get his own sleep, because they're still doing the hierarchy. If you know anything about having multiple cats, they're always fighting for their position. So that was going on. So I think there's a lot of stress involved. So he seems to be doing better, but he's got blood work to do in the morning. So we'll see. But anyway, I managed to get a little bit of knitting done so far. It's only in the middle of the day today. And I had to take another cat to the vet. It was unrelated. They just happened to have an appointment. So after all that was done, I finally got a little bit of knitting done. I didn't get very far, but I'll show you what I've done so far. Okay. Of course, I'm in the middle of a row. But I started the cabling, and I have less stitches this time on that pattern that was doing the S shape. It's a free pattern, so where's the arrow? There we go. So this is the pattern. So this is how I do all my work. I'd like to use the computer. Makes it easier. So, yeah. And I think it's pretty cool that I can flip my camera around while I'm recording. That must be a new update, because that wasn't happening before. Anyway, so I'm going to work on that square today. And I might work on my tank top later on tonight. We'll see. Like I said, I'm checking on the cat like every couple hours, make sure everything's good. So, yeah, that's what's going on today. Alright, I think I'm going to end this episode vlog here and then get that uploaded. Okay, so wherever you are, hope you're doing well, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you for watching.